right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. My name is Dean Halonen. I'm the co-founder and CRO of Steelhead Technologies, and welcome to Shop Talk. So this show is for those that have dedicated their livelihood to the craft of manufacturing because those people understand it's one of the hardest, if not the hardest, job in the world to do and do well and actually grow and scale a company. And it's my pleasure today to welcome on Jarrod. Is it Wiesen or Jarrod Wiesen? Jarrod,
Wiesen. Yeah.
the president and owner of Coatings Plus, as our guest today. And also, I believe you have two shops, right, Jarrod? There's Coatings Plus and Wiesen
Powder
Coat.
coat. Yeah. We're currently sitting with two shops, an industrial paint supplier, and we're working on a third shop now for for growth.
Oh, a third as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll get into that. But maybe starting back to square one, Jarrod, maybe you grew up saying, "Hey, I'm always going to be in the powder coating, or I'm always going to be in the manufacturing business," or maybe not. But maybe you're based out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, and so it sounds like there's a couple companies now in the portfolio. But if we could go back to maybe how did you get started into manufacturing, and what maybe piqued your curiosity about this industry?
I built roads. The day after I graduated high school, I started working for a large excavating company and quickly became an operator and excelled at that. During the winter time, I walked in on a conversation that somebody was having with my dad, somebody that he went to school with, and he was looking to sell his rim line. They had a production rim line where they would burn off rims, shot blast them, preheat them, powder coat them, and then they'd run through an electric oven. And every 7 minutes, they were running a wheel through. And he had some old beat up equipment and one customer contract and a part time employee who was looking to get out of it. And I kind of walked in and, hey, what that guy want? He wanted to sell me his powder coat. What is powder coat? We Googled it. What did he want for it? And I had enough money to buy it. So I did. And then baptism by fire after that, we started doing wheels
Do you mind
and
sharing? You mind sharing what you bought it for? The price?
$77,000.
Awesome,
And
awesome.
I moved it into a $66,000 building that was purchased from the bank.
Yeah.
And we powder coated rims in the front and stored boats in the back. And it didn't pay at all. So we really grew the business, and we had routes going from Kentucky to New York doing wheels. This is in Belding, Michigan. Belding is a unique town because we're known for oven manufacturers. So
Oh,
there's that's our largest industry is oven manufacturing. I didn't know it at the time. I met a guy at the local golf course. I was at the bar, and he said, "Hey, do you own this powder coating company?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "How much are you powder coating rims for?" And I think at that time it was like $19.25 a piece. So I proudly said 19.25. He says, "If you started powder coating like race car frames or quad frames, you might be able to do that for, $100 or $150." And I said, "Yeah." And he's imagine this, he sold batch ovens. So I'm
oh,
not 100% sure, but I think at that time it would have been 2014 to maybe beginning of 2015. We bought a batch oven and a paint booth to match it for around 100 grand, not installed. So me and a
you
buddy
did the
put it up.
install yourself?
Yeah, put it all together. It's running right now. It's still running at this exact moment. We put it together and started powder coating rims, or not rims, but other people's stuff, and quickly uh, that was kind of part of the deal was, can I do your powder coat if I buy an oven from you? And then it grew, and then we got a second shift, and then we bought another oven, and we did another paint booth, and we rocked that pretty hard until in 2019, maybe 2018, going into 19. I sold the whole rim company, and we were getting pushed to do production. So I put in a production line, so refinanced everything and bet the house on it. And then that was good. We started running pretty good on production for
When
3 days.
Just to jump in there, Jarrod, you said you got pushed to do production. So some
A
industry.
lot of our customers we were doing the offline stuff for had were also had high volume, smaller parts. So going to my competitors to have that done, and they kind of wanted to have a one stop shop for all of it, and I wanted to keep them out of my competitor's door,
Yep.
and yeah, we powder coated for 3 days for pay, and then COVID-19 shut the shut the state down after that. That
Oh,
was that
and that
wasn't
was
as fun.
so you went to the bank and said, "Hey, I actually don't really. I'm a little ignorant in this space." You go to your bank or your banker and say, "Hey, I'm getting all this demand for or requests for this type of work. I want to put in a new line. It cost, $1 million or what does a new line cost? 2 million, maybe?"
At that time, the line that we had was just south of 1 million.
Yeah, so it costs around $1 million, and then how do you? Is it pretty easy to get that loan if you have like, or how do you think about securing capital to grow?
I refinanced my house and put a HELOC on it, along with my home and my building.
Got it. So you had to put all your chips in the middle. The banker's
Yeah,
like, sure, we'll give you the money as long as you
they
give us
had yeah
collateral.
they had enough equity, or they had enough collateral to do it.
Yeah. Wow. And then COVID happens, the
Yeah, we
demand.
ran parts for 3 days, and then they shut it down. And my dad called me later that day and said, "I think you're going to lose your house." And I was like, "Yeah, well, I guess so. We'll hang out in powder coat for as long as we can until that happens. We'll see what happens." And I got a call from a customer. They were making face shields all of a sudden for Tyson Foods, and that's when they were getting a lot of hard push, and that shut down the big meat packing plants.
Yep.
We started not welding, we started melting these face shields. They were getting CNC routed out, and they needed to bend, and then they'd put two clips on them and put them on a hard hat. So we went to the local hardware store and bought stovepipe and put rivets through it. And then we went to Menards and all the other ones, so we filled the whole line with stovepipes, and we ran four masks at a time, and we bent them in the dry off oven, took them out in the paint booth, and then did another set in the cure oven. So put them back on the paint booth and went through the cure oven. We started taking them off in the packing section, hanging them back up. I think in our prime we were doing like 10,400 a night, and then we were powder coat. That was just at night. We were powder coating during the day, so it kind of turned out to be a massive blessing and an incredible blessing. So we went from, oh boy,
Melted.
we might lose it all, to really busy. And it was just
Wow.
that opportunity to adapt. My phone rang. He says, "I gotta." This was about 11 o'clock in the morning, and by 1 o'clock the next morning, we had a load to Dawson City, Iowa, of face shield masks going to Tyson.
Melted, bent.
But yep, and another company was making the brackets. It was this really big collaborative effort,
Were you guys
and
painting the brackets or no?
no, they were plastic.
Got it.
They're like a plastic
Oh,
injection mold
plastic.
bracket. Yep.
Got it. Got it. Wow. So talk about that just feels like that's the American dream, right? It just goes from it's a roller coaster of we're gonna lose it all to maybe we had our best month ever.
Yeah.
Uh in the span of a couple, you call your dad back, hey, the house is
Yeah.
still mine.
House is good. We're good. Yeah. And so
Oh,
no, it worked out. I mean, and then we had a lot of opportunity to powder coat medical equipment and stuff like that for hospital beds and stuff for these pandemic relief centers. So that really kind of jolted us, and we did a lot of work with the automation industry. West Michigan's really big on the automation industry and heavy weldments and stuff like that. And that business kind of died down. And at that time, Amazon was putting in distribution plants. Distribution was getting big, and
yeah.
automating and shipping and whatnot. So that business ramped right up, and we kind of were able to jump on that for the next couple of years.
Wow.
And then in 2022, January of 22, we acquired Coatings Plus. So we
Yes.
were able to add them in.
Wait, you acquired Coatings Plus or you acquired Wiesen Powder Coat? Which one came
We
first?
we we purchased Coatings Plus in 2022,
Got it. Got it. So
and,
how
and
did
that
that how did you guys come to that decision? Did it fall into your lap? Or were you actively pursuing
we were outgrowing our batch ovens. So
yep.
with that same manufacturer that stopped me at the local gas at the golf course bar, I started working with him to build a big set of batch ovens, and we were going to lease a building and put them in there. We were going to do warehousing and some light assembly, powder coat, light assembly, warehousing for the material handling industry. And I've had equipment bought burners and stuff that has a big backlog on it. And I had a plan to go. It's not a big industry, especially, from a Michigan standard. So I was keeping this all real quiet until I wanted everybody to know. And so I kind of told, there's always a supplier that kind of has a leaky mouth. So I told him, and I figured it would get around that, wow, Wiesen's is adding another building in the Grand Rapids area, which is 30 minutes south of us. And
Yeah.
then a local company in there called me and said, hey, don't come to Grand Rapids anymore. You've been a big competitor. Maybe it's time that you don't compete with us anymore and acquire us. And let's go out to lunch. And I
Oh,
was so excited to go to lunch because these guys had given me a run for my money, millions of dollars, a run for my money. They took me to the cheapest restaurant. I promise you that McDonald's would have cost more. I looked at the bill. They spent like $7 to buy me lunch. I'm like, really? That's all? I was like, you guys have really ran me really hard. I'm going to at least get a good lunch out of this. Thought I'd get a nice cocktail or something. No, we went to a really crappy hole in the wall restaurant, had the cheapest burger ever. But it's all part of it. And we were able to come to terms on it. That would have been in 21. We started working on that deal. And then beginning of the year, we were able to close on it. And they were
were they retiring or are they just moving into different
yeah,
role?
they retired out of there. And they hadn't made a lot of changes. They were more or less a failing company,
Got it.
and I think that they knew it. So it was a good acquisition. We've seen tremendous growth there. We've brought new technology and procedures. I mean, they had sticky note pads and they'd tell people it'll be done in 2 days, knowing it wouldn't be done in 2 weeks. And it was a pretty hostile work environment, just a lot of upset customers, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. And it took a lot to rebuild their name. And it's been a lot of fun to do it too, really changing things. And it's been a journey, but we've enjoyed it all.
Yeah, and maybe now if the business is healthier, if you guys ever do sell Wiesen or Coatings Plus, you can buy your next purchaser a little better burger with
Yeah.
with the better
Yeah. I'll get them
state.
something a little better. Yeah. Some fries, maybe.
Some fries maybe, but hey, it's a tough world. So just to dive into that a little bit, you were competing with this company, I'm assuming
Correct.
30 miles away, and it
Yep.
seems like in this industry, there's always like little ecosystems if you're in Grand Rapids or in Detroit or Cleveland, Ohio, where the cost of freight is or the cost of shipping is expensive, right?
Yep.
So it's a little bit of a dogfight in every little mini market. Um, what do you say in this scenario? It was just like a price war versus them, like they were just undercutting prices, and that's what
It
really
was
crippled the
it
business.
was
Or,
speed. It was
mm,
speed. The trucks are expensive, to go back and forth because we do ship between companies. It's about $900, but it costs more than $900 when you have a whole team ready to assemble a project, but it didn't show up from powder coat on time. So time was the big thing.
and when you say time, you're saying like you say, hey, they say, well, we have it done in 2 days, they win the
Yep.
job, and then you say, I'll get it done in a day to win the
Sure.
job, and now it's a speed war, if you will.
Sure. Well, they always like to send it closer. It's quicker, it's cheaper, all that. But then they were kind of getting, hey, they said they'd have it done in 4 days. We're on day 7. Now we're going to be paying overtime. We're going to be late on our job. A lot of that stuff going on. So is it worth the freight? So you had to sell it. We're always on time. We will not miss our ship date. So if that's important to you, maybe you should send it up here. If it's not, if you're not, it's hard to win the battle. Yeah, we're not in a real big rush for it. Just have it in the next week or so. Probably isn't, we'd quickly leave that room. If something changes, let us know. But we know that that's not at that time where we stood. We needed to be the fastest because
Got
these
it.
companies are growing. They're lead times. So everybody here that's in powder coating knows that engineering got backed up, assembly got backed up, welding got backed up, this got caught up. We're a week and a half behind on this project. Where are you going to make all that time up? Well, you got to go yell at the last guy on the rope. That's the powder coater. So
Oh, Jared.
yeah, so
Yeah.
time is where we really found the majority of our successes. Who can get it done the fastest?
Yeah, and in your market, I'm not sure where Belding sits in relation to like Grand Rapids the major where most of the customers are. So if you're outside of town 30 miles, you just got to be you have to be a little stronger, a little faster,
Yeah,
a little better.
yeah, yep, that's correct.
Got it.
To
So
pull, we're pulling work there. I mean, they're driving past multiple powder coat shops to come to our shop in Belton. You gotta give them a good reason to do it.
yeah, I love that.
They'll say give you a good reason to do it. So that's that that's the Wiesen way, or the Wiesen guarantee is we'll get you done on time. So
Wow. And what are your guys' lead times? Like what if you're quoted, or do you offer multiple lead times? Like, hey, we can do it next day for a premium or in
right. Um we we're pretty busy now. So those lead times do get pushed out more than I'd like. We do track on time. I think we offer. I'm not 1,000% sure on this, but I think we're offering a 4-day lead time right now. If I have some customers listening, they might want to chime in and go, wait. We're sitting at 5 or something. That does happen. Scheduling is a big problem, right? I mean, we have 2,000 customers and everything is due 4 days after it shows up, and you never know when it's going to show up. We don't know. We don't usually have when we got projections and we people talk or whatnot, but you don't know it's due 4 days after it hits the dock, and you'll know it's here because the truck will be at the dock. So of course we all have relationships, and we usually see this customer every day, or they do round trips and stuff, but nothing's really guaranteed, and the scheduling is a big thing, and it is something that we look at multiple times per shift.
yeah. So let's talk about that a little bit, Jared, in regards to I agree with you. We have hundreds of customers in this industry, and the job shop world is like it's a trend like the transaction between you and your customer, like we obsess over automating that down to it feels like near like instantaneous, like real time updates. So you inside of your companies, everybody knows where every part, every job is. But our long term goal is to have that visibility upstream into your customer, and then you have the visibility like what's coming next week. So you can
Yep.
start to run like, hey, gloss black is going on Monday because we got all this gloss black coming in.
Dean,
That's our long
it
term goal.
we even have to gamble on the weather. When the roads are bad and all the news is stay off the roads, and people might not ship out today, or contractors are running, all the 1 day freight haulers. We use in on time or same day is big for our area, but they might be running 20% behind schedule. So now my incoming is going to be 20% less. But when the weather all clears, if we have a 3-day storm, and then the weather all clears, everybody empties out their warehouse all at one time. That could be on a Thursday. So now we're working over the weekend, but then we might be slow next Wednesday because that influx is now gone of work. So it's
Wow.
even gambling on the weather when we start talking about these. It's conversations going, should we be throwing overtime at this? What are we going to get tomorrow? Are we going to get 24 hours worth of work in tomorrow? Are we going to get 30 hours worth of work in tomorrow? Are we going to get 18 hours worth of work in tomorrow? And how does what do we get the day before we can transfer over, the day after where we can move up, so that we're always selling at that 20 to 24 hours? But even when you're talking about it, I'm like, I don't know, I feel like the weather is going to hold some stuff back. Let's not do overtime yet. Let's try to save those costs, because they're all fixed costs, and overtime adds to my cost. So
Cuts into the margin, but
for
also
sure.
but cuts into the margin, but boosts customer satisfaction, which boosts sales. So it's like there's trade-offs there. Um, I'm curious so you bought Coatings Plus. It seemed like everybody loves a comeback, a turnaround story, right? So maybe you could explain a little bit like, hey, we had the burger, we bought Coatings Plus. It was, somewhat failing, you could say. And then maybe what was life like then versus life today? Like, what was the main drivers of like, hey, obviously it sounds like scheduling or like making promises on deliveries, on time deliveries that was not happening. If you could explain a little bit, Jared, like, what that was, what the key
So
problem, and how you fixed it.
we had a bad name. We would tell you that we'll have it done in 2 days. We want to have you done for a couple of days after that. We had a bad name. So we started flooding them with information, unwanted information, like when you order from Amazon. Your package has been scheduled, it's been shipped, it's been delivered. Give us a review. They kind of give you too much information when we wanted to give the same thing. We wanted you to know your parts are scheduled for this day. And of course they take it with a grain of salt. And I would too. I don't blame them. They take it with a grain of salt. So now they're on schedule. This is how many we have done. This is our rework rate on it. So giving them more information, I think, put a lot of people at ease. And it took a while to rebuild that name. Of course, I knew a lot of their customers, and they're like, "Yeah, we'll give you a shot," because Wiesen's always did a good job, but They did send some stuff to Coatings Plus or their competitors. So I did have my name. Yeah, we don't always use you. We use you when it's an emergency or whatnot, but we like to send it to somebody closer. But it was hard to rebuild that. So we flooded them with information. And we have a very important saying, just do what you say. And I will not lie to you and give you the answer that you want today. So I have to have a hard conversation with you tomorrow. I might not, I'm going to tell you the truth. It might not be what you want to hear, but it'll be the truth today and it'll be the truth tomorrow as well. So just get in front of it. Part of our KPIs, our key performance indicators, is we track, customer complaints. And we also have another saying, it's not a complaint if we say it first. Like, hey, there's an issue with this versus just like waiting for them to complain. Let's talk to them once we see an issue because we screw things up. Hey, we broke this, we bent this, we're going to be late on this. All this stuff happens, but versus them complaining, we confront them first. So then that way, if you're going to bring bad news, if you're going to have a bad situation, be the one that brings it up first.
Yeah. Break
You know,
bad news fast. Yeah.
so do what you say. Customer complaint isn't a complaint if we talk about it first. And that really changed our relationship with our customers. And luckily they gave us another opportunity. They gave Coatings Plus another opportunity. And I think that they are happy that they did so. We really do care. We push hard. We lean on Steelhead and the technology to bombard them with more information than they want. And they don't call. They had habits of calling. Is our stuff done? Squeaky wheel got the grease. Now we just give them a portal. Log in. So they like that. They don't have to call and sit on hold and listen to my music in the background and all that stuff. They just go on the portal and they can see. Perfect. That's what we want. We want to over give them more information than they ask for just to rebuild that confidence. And I don't think all my competitors are doing it. So it does give us an advantage.
Yeah. And every edge is it saves so that portal, that's what I was saying is like the connection between you and your customers. We want to like weld you to your customers. Right now it's mostly to save you time with those updates, but we do want to have you have the ability to look what's coming down the pipe next week as well. Through
I
that
want
portal.
them not to be able. I want them not to be able to manufacture parts without us. I want them to lean so hard on just always having a good supplier that they can't do it without us. That's the relationship that I want with them, and that's what we push for. We are a teammate. We are part of this project from concept, from cradle to grave. We want to be a part of it. And
That's amazing. Now, Jarrod, with the in the job shop, you mentioned the weather. You mentioned I think another one I heard is like sometimes things go wrong, you break parts, you bend parts, or operators don't show up, or there's some rework, or there's like the amount of or your paint comes in late shipment,
yep,
or there's probably right 50 factors that could just mess up a schedule.
sure.
How do you guys how are you guys, I guess, using Steelhead or your team to react in real time to the dynamic nature of and keep you want to keep the line full and the customers happy and good margins or good revenues out getting shipped out every day. How do you guys balance that?
We look at it a lot. When hey, this shipment isn't going to be in. What can we move in? What can we move up? What obviously we need to have a conversation with our customer first. Hey, and we have transparency. A lot of our paint suppliers are spec. Hey, your spec customer right here says they need X amount of days. We gave them 20% more than they needed. That we do put it back on them. Hey, they are not successful, so now it's affecting us, but they're your supplier. More importantly, though, we can pull it out of the schedule and we can plug and play back in. So when they come to me and say, "So what is your plan now when powder shows up 5 days late?" Have a plan for them. Don't well, I don't know. I guess we'll have to see that. No, this is what it's going to look like. So kind of puts everybody at ease. But more importantly, is no, we definitely have to change the schedule and move customers up. No one's usually that mad when they get their stuff a little bit early, but there is a lot of factors that go on. We cross train a lot for when operators don't show up. We do try to batch ahead. We have kind of some trade secrets of how to get things done with less labor. We use our scheduling for that, where we can steal labor later on or not steal labor later on to get the same amount of throughput, because it is such a variety that you might have parts the size of me and parts the size of my water bottle cap all on there. The labor requirement to hang those, you might get 400 of these on a hook, where a part of me, you might get 1/5. So how do you balancing that labor is a lot. But utilizing steelhead and tack times of what everything is and averages at tack time, we know all that before we even schedule your job. We know what the labor is going to be moving on. So so and so didn't show up, so we're down a hanger or something of that. What can we do to schedule this job so that we're running the powder coat line in the company most efficiently because part of our labor didn't show up today or called in sick or whatever that might be. So that keeps the line full, and that's how you're going to stay ahead.
Got it. Got it. And now are you looking to, because there's always like there's like there's constraints, right? With scheduling of like, ideally we never change colors and ideally we batch everything possible. But
Sure,
real world happens. We have to we have to serve all these customers by these certain times.
sure.
So, I mean, there's obviously knobs you can turn of like efficiency and customer satisfaction. And I guess, are you guys like I guess in Steelhead, are you find yourself, are you the scheduler or is that Josh that your team is?
Josh does a lot of our scheduling, yes.
Okay.
All of our scheduling, yes.
So is he like dragging, dropping, reprioritizing many times a day, or is he like setting it
Yes.
at 8 a.m. or
Yes, many times a day because there's 50 different factors that change it.
Mhm.
And we also might be running ahead of schedule. What's that look like?
Yeah,
So
got it.
and usually we do. So we'll be running 10% ahead of schedule. I think our domain set at, or not our domain, but I think we're just set at 80% uptime. And currently, maybe in the last quarter, we're running about the 94 to 95. So he's got a good buffer in there. But we have conversations. What does customer satisfaction look like? If you call me at 5 o'clock in the morning and I need it at noon, it's just not going to happen. But I feel like having it at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning is pretty damn good too. Um, so
Yeah.
so being realistic. I mean, we're not going to stop and shut everything down for you. We want to be a teammate. We don't charge expedite fees for any of our customers. We call it being a good partner. We don't have a huge sales staff here. Back to we are partners the whole way through. We understand stuff happens, and it happens to us too. So please be sympathetic if we make a mistake as well. That it happens to our customers. It's going to happen to your suppliers as well, whether they're your specs paint supplier, your powder coater, or whatever. But yes, that schedule changes a lot. But knowing your labor, knowing your uptime efficiencies, knowing all your KPIs that you're measuring is very helpful. We have averages of color changes that we like to see per shift, and through data of through time of collecting, we've collected enough data to realize that we like to keep our color changes right in here. You're right. In an ideal world, one color, 100% of the time, one part, we'd have a really good looking shop. But we have hundreds of thousands of different parts,
Yep.
numbers, with thousands of different customers. It's just not the world we live in.
Agreed. And I was talking to one of our deployment leaders before this call, and they mentioned on the customer satisfaction side, I will get into the KPI side on my next question, but on the customer satisfaction, he said he mentioned Josh was dealing with the customer, and they're like, "Hey, when is this job going to be done?" Right? And Josh whips up open the schedule, and he says 2:30 p.m. today. It'll come offline. And the customer's like, "Oh, wow." Shows up at 2:30 and the part's coming right off the line, picks it up, and then they're on their way. So
Sure.
is that confidence in like scheduling, is that improved? Like, do your customers feel that at all? Or besides that one story, is that like a broader like, are they, is that a broader or like a widely recognized boost to your customer
So
satisfaction?
selfishly enough, we've tripled the size of Coatings Plus, but we never tripled the size of their warehouse.
Wow.
So it's very important to get your stuff out of here faster. So we don't wait to call you until it's completed. We want to tell you 12 hours ahead of time so that you can get it out of here a lot faster. I love it when my customers like the parts are still warm. Yeah, get them get them out of here. That's
We
less
still-
time I have to move them when somebody else's is behind it. It's faster it's going to
Wow.
get in the accounts payable or my accounts receivable. The faster you get it out of here, the better chance of not wrecking it. Stuff happens. Parts get hit or whatever. Get them out of here. Get them in your warehouse. We like to see that a lot better. But that was my driver. Yes, the fringe benefit is customer satisfaction, and we go as close to as in a on time manufacturing practices as we can. But there's still those hurdles. Rework. I'm happy that customer that when he said it's gonna be done at 2:30, I'm happy that there wasn't rework on it. But it does happen. But being able to talk to our customer, hey, I have 900 hot parts coming through. I need them done in 27 hours. Can you do that for me? I can't. I can get you 750. That's fine. The customer only wants 650. When can you have the rest of them? You'll have some more time. So just being able to have these conversations, turns out they don't need all of them. They just told me how many they were going to send. We assume that they want all of them, but giving them real world information of what we have material for, what we have line time for. And like I said, I'm going to have the hard conversation with you today and not a good conversation day and the realistic one in 2 days. Let's just have it all right now. But we can give them actual real-time information. We're not making it up. It's not a wild guess or anything. This is how it is going to be.
It's the truth. Yeah. And
Sure.
the truth wins in the end. The just to you said you 3x to the size of like the throughput, but didn't change the size of the
So
building.
I can't tell you on thhruput, but I can tell you on
Uh,
gross sales. I mean, I
Gross.
don't I don't
Yeah.
know what the cubic feet we were running or whatever, but yeah,
Yeah.
gross sales is just over three times higher.
Wow. That's a that's a phenomenal turnaround.
With not three times staff, we didn't buy. I bought a couple high lows. That was not like we put in another line. This is almost apples to apples with the same amount of assets. It's just freeing it up. We had, this company was old. We did good. I'd walk in, hey, how'd night shift do last night? They did good. Look at all the stuff they got done. And then we spent $1,500 on a line counter, just a hook counter, just to count how many hooks go by. Turns out they were paused 40% of the time. Not mad about it, but I want to know the reasons why. Well, we didn't have enough hanging. We had to pause in painting. We had to do this. We didn't know the hanging standard. All of these things. Okay, well, was able to get it up to that over 95%, which is what we're pushing now. And we're still, gaining in the inches and seconds of it to take those up. But there was a lot of open capacity there, but no one ever tracked it.
Yep.
Yeah, we
So
did good. Look at all the stuff they got done. Compared to what?
yeah, there's a lot of pallets there.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, but who
Uh,
knows? No one was thinking that way.
That's amazing. So in terms of thinking that way, if you look at a shift or a day or a week, what are those? I mean, you mentioned hooks, right? Hooks of throughput. What are those key KPIs that you look at at a daily basis to make sure like, hey, today was good. We won the day.
Right. So most importantly, we look at a UPLH, units per labor. So how many hooks am I running compared to how many people I have on the line? If I brought in, I think there's maybe 9 people run our line. If I had 15, would we get more work done or the same amount and just add to our labor cost? So our UPLH as a percentage is the number one thing I'm looking at. We run a lot of weekends, but I might be able to run with 5 people because it's a long part. It doesn't require a lot of labor, but I still might be able to run a 95 to 100% uptime with that with half of the staff. So UPLH is going to double. So UPLH is most closely tied to a profit margin, which is what I'm the most concerned about is a healthy company. On-time efficiency, because we are at asset capacity. We're coming up on that asset capacity, which is why we're looking to grow. So I'm very concerned in making sure that we are running 100% density. Can we fit more parts on? So we have density readers and we're measuring that uptime efficiency and we do keep an eye on scrap. Our scrap rate's pretty low. I never want to see it to be zero, but I want to keep it in check too. And I know everybody, that's crazy. No scrap is good, but like if your scrap went from 0 to 2% and your throughput tripled, is that scrap a bad thing? Maybe not.
Yep. So you have to look at the holistic picture, obviously.
Right.
And then on the units per labor hour, unit is a hook. So essentially
Yeah.
hook per labor hour. And then
For the
meters
production line,
for the
yes.
production
We
line.
track and then we'll do average of carts in the offline. And I know, well, sometimes it's this and everybody has an excuse. Well, these parts are thick and these take more. But look at it on a percentage of an average. Look at the last 4 months. How many racks do you guys run? Because that you're gonna find averages there and it's gonna help you schedule. I mean, how many racks can you run a day? Well, the first, well, I don't know how thick is the stuff. Well, let's just look at the law of averages here.
Yeah.
And that will at least it's not going to give you an exact pinpoint
Perfect.
because it's not a
Yeah.
production line, but in the offline, it's going to get you a small circle and you can dial it in from there versus just not knowing. It's going to give you a pretty educated guess.
Got it. And then you're shooting for a target price per hook and price per cart, right?
Yep,
That's
that's
generally
correct.
how that works.
Yep.
Got it. And then
With the percentage of labor and material on there, is what's the labor rate for this, and put it in a percentage of your gross sales, and then your material on top of it.
perfect. And then
Isn't it?
based on that expectation, when you quote it, you take that math and then cascade it forward for the scheduling, and that's how you
That's
get
correct.
your, got it.
Yep.
And then on the density, how is density just a visual thing, or how are you measuring density?
Visual.
Got it.
But we have hanging standards. So everything, all these parts have been not all of them, but most have been ran by now multiple times. So there's a hanging standard, and there's benefits if you can improve on it. And we do. We'll set a hanging standard. We'll test the guys, and we'll put a hanging standard out there, and that we know can be improved on, and see if we're looking at it, if we're thinking that way,
Really?
or we'll go the other way. We'll ask something that's unrealistic and see if they're going to come back and push back at management or line leads going, we can't do this. And I want them talking. I don't want intimidation. I want the hangers know their job better than me. So why am I telling them what to do? They should be telling me. And we encourage that. I will set unrealistic expectations, and then and applaud them when they're like, man, I'm really sorry. I don't know if this is possible. It's like, you're right. Plead your case for me. And there's a reward for it. I appreciate that. Don't just
Yeah. Yeah.
don't just fail because this is what's being said. Think for yourself.
We want them thinking and giving feedback. So if you give them a
Absolutely.
cookie, so like a cookie would be like, hey, you put it in the standard 2 parts per hook. I can do 3 or 4, and you want that feedback. Say, hey, Josh or Jarrod, we can actually do much better here. We can get 4 parts per hook and improve our density, and
And they
therefore,
they are better than us too. I mean, we've had some parts, and all of us are out there, we're looking at it, and I just can't get it to go. And then 2 days later, hey, so and so said, why don't we do this, and this? And they doubled it. And I'm like, no way. Just we definitely do celebrate the wins.
wow. Well, Jarrod, quite the story there. On the overall improvements, you mentioned the sales is 3x with the same amount of assets or capital, which is truly a Harvard case study type outcome. Any other notable improvements, maybe in on-time delivery or efficiency in your tenure here at Coatings Plus?
I don't know if they had on time delivery beforehand, but I don't have the numbers in front of me here
Yeah.
of what it is. I know we're not getting a lot of pushback. We do watch customer complaints and rejects and parts that get back there, and I don't hear a lot on customer complaints. Throughput is since it's been measured is a lot more impressive. I mean, it's at least 40% higher than what it was from the small case studies that we did. After putting the simple hook counter, it definitely was a panicking moment. Like, does this thing work? There's no way it's this bad, and it worked. It was that bad, which was fun. I mean, at least it's low hanging fruit. I mean, the
Yeah.
instant dopamine level that you get, because you can fix some problems pretty quick. And I don't know if I wouldn't say it's a Harvard case study, that maybe that's just how bad it was beforehand. We're, we're certainly not anything special, just people that watch and people that care. So it was fun, because it's like we can go sell a lot more right now. We can expedite. We can back to the time thing. Time wins. We can really get things. We just found 40% open capacity. What are we going to do with it? We thought we were busy and full this whole time. Turns out we're not. So this is awesome, sweet. It was good. It was good.
Amazing. Yeah. And I would say you guys are special, Jarrod. The culture is special, where everybody cares, everybody's pulling the rope and looking for those little, incremental improvements at every corner. That is unique. So we do have some questions here from the audience that is tuning in. Sandy says, Jarrod, we're curious, what are your top 3 operating challenges in today's environment? Just kind of off the top of your head, in terms of like today being maybe, I guess anything in regards of today.
Operating challenges. Employment is hard. And it's closer to entry level than it's not. So being able to bring employees in quick and train them quick, um, and give them the understanding. A lot of these people never worked in powder coat shops. They don't know what it is. It's just kind of a job that's has light physical requirements, and it's dry and it's guaranteed hours. but training people is a big thing. And then working with customers, just they're all unique challenges. I mean, we have such a broad array from one-off stuff of a small fabrication company to a big OEM. They working with customers is a big challenge because everybody's different. Everybody has their own way of doing it and a different expectation. Sometimes they expect to have their stuff in 2 weeks, and sometimes they have it. Sometimes it's expected to have it a lot quicker. So those are the top two. I think I'd have to think a little harder for the top three.
Yeah, that's good. And then we have a question from Jim Stommel. How many lines you guys running today? I mentioned I think you guys have a line or two, and then some batch operations. And then how does Steelhead help with scheduling multiple lines without a forecast, like a sales forecast?
So we have two companies. Each company has a line in it. One company has 3 batch ovens. The other company has 2 batch ovens. So they're different companies, different EIN numbers, different names, different addresses. I do own both of them. So we look at each company different. How does Steelhead schedule parts going in? So that helps a little bit is that we only have one line. So for each schedule. So we have 2 different subscriptions with Steelhead, one at each company. So we just schedule per company. What was the second part of that question?
Without a forecast, like a sales forecast.
Well, we know what we have in the warehouse.
So pretty much
And
when it hits the receiving dock, you schedule it.
yep, that's what and it well, a lot of it's repeat work now, or we've quoted it. So we already know let's look at the production line. We already know how many hooks are in there. So at any given time, I can look in the warehouse and see how many hooks there are. Oh, every 24 hours, we have the capabilities to run about 3,000 hooks. So there better be about 12,000 hooks in the warehouse, and that's going to be just in time. It it fluctuates, so but we seem to be right there.
Awesome. I have a question from Aaron here. That was he is the president of Steelhead, one of our co-founders as well. And he was saying that when during the deployment, that when you'd walk in the morning, your first question was like, "Are we busy today?" And the team was saying that it's hard to answer, like
Right.
hard to answer Jarrod's question. Now that you're on Steelhead, is that answer pretty easy of like, "Are we busy today?"
They have it before I get out of bed in the morning. It's on my email. It's the first thing I do when I look up there is every shift can tell me, and I can look at how many hooks we have and how many we've done, and that's going to tell us if we're busy. It's the first thing we talk about, but everybody knows it. That's the first thing. Hi, good morning. Are we busy? Hi, good morning. How are you? Good. This is what we have in a backlog. We have work scheduled up to next Tuesday at 2 o'clock. We have 20 hours unscheduled, and we have 70 racks sitting in the offline. And okay, so we're sitting right there. Are we working this weekend? Is going to be the next question. Are we working Friday? What's our overtime looking like?
Wow.
But yeah, they have it all the time. They know it all the time. And when you see me walking through, yep, this is refreshed. How much are we sitting ahead of schedule? 13% as of 45 seconds ago. So everybody has it all the time. I mean, it's on their phone, it's on their computer. Everybody has it. It's awesome. So we all know, you know.
Wow. So everyone's just like pacing to the plan. It's truly amazing. Another question here from Sandy. Now that you are fully established maybe in the Grand Rapids market, who are you primarily servicing? Like, is there a certain sector like, hey, it's data centers or it's, distribution centers or automotive or
We try not to get and we try to diversify with it. Data centers is ticking up to be a good percentage of us, but Grand Rapids is used to be. I guess I don't know if it is anymore. It's Furniture City, USA. We do a lot with the furniture industry. We still do material handling. Tech data centers are getting busier and busier. We're seeing more and more opportunities with that. A lot of it's unknown. There's some agriculture, greenhouses. We see it right now. We're seeing a lot of greenhouse stuff from the January to April. There's a lot of greenhouse stuff, and we see some medical. We try to stay as diverse as we can. In the past, we've gotten too heavy in one industry, and it can be detrimental.
can be a little risky if it drops. Yeah.
Right.
Another question here from Mark. So you mentioned positioning Coatings Plus and Wiesen Powder as a partner to the customer, and being a part of the project from cradle to grave. Maybe just talk a little more about like how do you position like, hey, Coatings Plus we want to be like integral to our customers. Like they never dream about in-housing their work, right? How do you handle that?
Recently we people are talking about tariffs and moving jobs back, so it's given us a good opportunity to look at things and if things make sense to bring back stateside. And if it has powder coat on it, or even if it's an idea or this is a first time run, if it has powder coat on it, you should be meeting with your powder coater right away. Let's start talking about hook marks. Let's start talking about quality expectations. Is this part indoor, outdoor, medical? Is it aerospace? Let's start talking about it right now, even if it's lightly, hey, just a simple RFQ. Okay, well, you don't have any hang holes. We're going to have some hooks, some custom racking. What does target price have to be? And let's start working before we like to have our quotes in 24 hours. But if we have a complex project going on, well, does custom tooling make sense? Well, I might be 2 days out to get a custom tooling quote. Can we start buying material in volume? Because their customers waiting on a quote and they're waiting on me. We might take more time. So if we can get in that project early, even when it's a concept of an idea, I prefer it. I want to be there right out the gate. Then that way, when it does come to fruition, if it does, you're going to see us as a partner. We're not going to be shopped. We can. That's totally up to them. But I want to make them more successful, and I want my customer to see. Well, Coatings Plus really went above and beyond, and they had to get a custom powder quoted and toolings and all this stuff. So that really helps us have the upper hand when that job does come live. Let's get a really good plan so that my customer can be competitive. We want to see it. We want to see it arrive.
Yep. And there's sometimes I used to be a design engineer at General Motors, and coming out of college, I knew nothing about manufacturing, like where a hole should be, where a hook could be, how a bracket can be bent, all these things. I mean, y- a lot of like entry level people just don't fully understand it. So having that be a little like a design partner on the early side, most manufacturers are not powder
In
coating
my in my
manufacturers,
opinion, I don't want you to know it. I want you to just bring in your professional that knows that.
right? Bring in the PO and then you'll take it from there, right, Jared?
Right. Well, let's
Um,
don't be a powder coat professional. Bring in the professional.
right, right. Um, it's a great point. And then there's this last one here from John Mulder. So on the quality side of things, how or what reporting do you pull out of Steelhead to on the quality side to make decisions or like have maybe some quality data that you didn't never had before?
Well, we never tracked rework or reasons why.
Mm,
So if we when we started tracking rework, is it cross contamination? Is it a hook mark? Is it too light? Is it too heavy? So now we not only is it just classified, not that we were when Coatings Plus was purchased, but rework was never tracked. Now we have reasons why. So we can start working on. We had some cross contamination issues that we were having inside the oven. So we came up with a way to clean the oven of particles in the air in between
yeah.
color changes. And so now that we had that data of what we were having for cross contamination issues, we figured out that it was in the oven. Well, now does this investment work to clean particles in the air? So having different reasons of why things are scrapped helps you from making the same mistake again, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Don't get fooled twice, essentially.
Right. And
And
we use steelhead for like example hanging standards. If there's a part that has four holes on it, we might like most of the time we're not told where to hang, but we might hang it in the wrong spot. Hey, we'd rather you hang it here. A rivet goes in there and no one's gonna see it anymore. Okay, we'll let it go this time or whatever, but does how does that message get relayed? I might not see this part for another year. So utilizing steelhead and hanging standards and putting quality alerts where a supervisor has to sign off on it. It's not just Jarrod showing up to the customer and saying, "Oh wow, we'll do better. I'll go talk to the guys." No one's going to remember this part in 6 months or 2 years when it shows back up. So having the data and all the documents, when I say we're going to do something about it, we are. We're going to make sure that this doesn't happen again. We're going to hold people accountable with signatures, and that's part of our corrective action on it too. And we take every customer complaint, we file a corrective action on it. We're not an ISO shop. We're not required. A lot of the time, our customers don't require it. We do believe in it. So Steelhead's a big portion of how we document a lot of those quality concerns.
that's amazing. And on the hanging standard, are you snapping a picture with a phone or a tablet to
Yep,
document
there's
like, hey, this is
there's
how
a
it goes?
there's tablet and there's screens at every station, so you can read it in your language, and then there's a pitcher. Just, it just with speeds, same with packaging. Hey, we require a bag inside foam and then shrink wrap, or just rough pack, or just put back in the Gaylord box. There's a lot of different quality standards, and it's quoted so there's a picture every time. And then if there's, hey, we have some light powder in this corner, we'll have like a go no go gauge of this is acceptable, this is not. So they're not showing up to the office, if there's 10,000 parts on there, is this one okay, is this one okay? It gives them all the information on the line. And this, we run 24 hours of the day, so they're always have the information. It's not like they're calling you at home or anything like that. So giving your operators as much as you can is always probably going to be a key.
Yeah, power to the people, I like to say. Give them the information to make the right decision. John fired in one last one here. On the business side of things, like what are your favorite reports to help make business decisions favorite reports coming out of Steelhead?
Well, uptime efficiency is going to talk about asset capacity. So it's going to tell you if you need to buy equipment. UPLH is going to be closely tied to your profit and loss. So is a company successful? And I like to see on-time shipment customer complaints. And we track them weekly, customer complaints. And I like to stay on top of those because I don't want them to get brushed under a rug. I do want to make sure that we do care. And I want my customer to know that when we do make a mistake, we take it very serious and we appreciate your work.
Unbelievable. Jarrod, thank you so much for your time. I know we went a little long here over our allotted time, but this has been amazing, super informative. If you're in the Grand Rapids area looking for a coating supplier, there's nobody better here than Coatings Plus and the Wiesen way, or the Wiesen team as well. So thanks everybody else for calling in. Next month we'll have James Bowl from Sullivan Precision Metal Finishing. You can join that next month. But thanks again, Jarrod, and have a great
Thank
day,
you.
everybody. Yep.
Thank you.
See ya.